Let's jump into this first big story. We've got the lead from Daily Mail. Pentagon confirms the last U.S. troops and evacuation flights have left Afghanistan just after midnight in Kabul. Taliban take control of airport and celebrate with gunfire as 20-year war ends. There's so much to go through. First of all,
there really is.
You know, Ian, you just mentioned in the intro that it doesn't feel like they've completed the withdrawal. They just stopped withdrawing, like stopped evacuating people and just bounced out.
Yeah, the way this statement, this title that you just read off is phrased is that the last American troops left. Is that the last ones that are going to be leaving or gone now? Or is that the last of all of them? And they're not clear. I don't know if people...
They're very intentionally not clear. They won't let you know how many Americans are left behind. They won't let you know if they decided to stay on purpose or if they just didn't get in contact with these people. And then you've also seen in the past week or two, you've seen people saying on Twitter, like, I let somebody use my WhatsApp to get a visa at one point, and now I'm getting messages via WhatsApp on their behalf. Are they getting the messages, or am I just getting the messages? You know, these kinds of things. So it's really very peculiar, and it's hard to have any idea what's going on. The administration is not being transparent about it at all, and you can see that in the questioning that they've been, the questions they've been taking. And
what's up with this WhatsApp thing? Someone lets...
Yeah, or maybe it was, I think it was actually an email. So a person put on Twitter, I wish I had it, but it was one of these things that's on Twitter. So it's not like you can figure out exactly what the truth is. And the amount of things that I've been getting from people on Twitter that are like, here's video of a bunch of people getting shot inside the Kabul airport. And it's like, you know, I track through that person, I track through that person, track through everybody. And then you eventually talk to someone who is unwilling to go on the record. And you're like, okay, well, this story is not going to ever get out if I can't verify who these people are and what's going on. So yeah, it was, somebody had said, I let a friend use my email address to receive visa information. I'm getting notifications now about how it's time to leave Afghanistan. Are they getting these notifications as well? Or
so,
not?
I don't think it's fair to say the war is over. Because, well, unless the press just stops covering it entirely now and says, yay, Biden, you did it, and starts clapping. I think the Atlantic wrote the article, or it was in the Atlantic, that Biden deserves credit, not criticism. Well. I'm like, no, he deserves criticism. But the reason I say it's not over is there's still, I mean, at least estimates here from the Daily Mail, 100 to 200 Americans are still in Afghanistan, as well as our Afghan allies.
Right.
So do you think that in the coming days that we're going to hear news about American hostages?
I've been wondering about this as well, if we're going to have repeats of these kind of videos that we saw previously, you know, these beheading videos, these hostage videos. What's going to happen with that? There was a clip that came out over the weekend. It was Taliban soldiers in a TV studio with a TV anchor, and the anchor was saying what the Taliban told them to say. Yeah. You know, everything's going great. I don't think we have any idea what's going on. And the fact that we were engaged in a war for this long in a place that has destroyed empires before us was already absurd.
Yeah, that one I find particularly humorous, that people, you know, have mentioned, hey, all of these empires kind of faltered after the Afghanistan fiasco. But I'll tell you, back to the point about the war not being over. I'm watching this video clip of the Taliban walking through the airport, and there's like helicopters and planes. It's not just the military equipment they received. It's the civilian equipment that's left behind by those evacuating.
Right. That's
all resources, trucks. There's something like 40,000 SUVs they've received. Now, I'll tell you why it's not over. You think the Taliban coming in, I don't care if it's the Taliban or any government, honestly, although the Taliban would be markedly worse. You think they're going to be able to maintain the power? They're going to be able to maintain the infrastructure, the economy, the natural resources? The homes are going to lose electricity overnight. How many days do we have until all of a sudden the power goes out?
Well, also, they're already fighting with, they have ideological battles with this other terrorist organization.
Right, ISIS-K.
Yeah. There was actually a clip, I don't know, I hope I didn't tell you guys this already, but Jack Kerouac went on the William F. Buckley show in, I guess, the 60s or 70s, whenever it was. And Kerouac said that he thought the Vietnam War was a conspiracy between the North Vietnamese and the South Vietnamese, who, in his words, were cousins, to get a lot of Jeeps in the country. And Buckley said, well, you know, I don't think it went too well for them. And Kerouac said, I don't know. They got a lot of Jeeps.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot of American equipment. Have
you seen the before and after footage from like Idlib or Aleppo? in Syria and things like that.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a while ago, but
a while ago for sure.
Yeah.
I remember, you're looking at these photos, particularly like Aleppo, and it's amazing, this beautiful city, and there's like the colors oversaturated because people are trying to purposely evoke emotion, but you see the trees, you see the buildings, you see the people, and then it's like the Syrian civil war, and it's rubble. It's brown rubble. I don't know if it's going to get that bad in Afghanistan necessarily, but my personal opinion, which is based off of just what we're seeing right now, and a lot of things could change because I can't see the future, I think it might get to that point. You have no clear command structure. It's a group of people who are fighting against the U.S. And now, sure. Let me say this: you have some command structure, right? There's people who are in charge, but in order to maintain a country, and let alone a city, you need massive managerial infrastructure, which they do not have. So all of a sudden, you're going to have some dude, and he's going to be at a factory that makes, I don't know, plastic lids or something, whatever they might need. And he's going to be like, I don't know where any of this stuff comes from. And he's going to go to the guy who works there and says, oh, we order from this other company, but no one's there right now, or something like that. The power company, people are just going to leave.
Things are going to shut down.
The guy who ran their central bank fled.
Right.
So now there's no, as much as I don't like central banking, there's still, the system has been gutted from the inside. So what's going to happen? Where people with no food, people are going to go nuts, and it's going to start breaking down, and it's going to get brutal.
It does beg the question, what is America's responsibility to nations that can't handle their own governance? We certainly stepped in Europe all over the place, but is that the kind of thing that people want from us and other countries? I think it's pretty clear that the people of Afghanistan don't want that. They don't want the U.S. determining their government structure or any of that kind of stuff. So, and what is I saw another I wish I could remember exactly who this was. I'm sorry that I can't, but I saw somebody else who was talking about how America really is falling apart itself at this point. How can we take in some 200,000 Afghan refugees? Who knows how well they've been vetted? We have people pouring across the southern border. We don't have any control over that. We have governors fighting with the president over the sovereignty of their own states and the sovereignty of American borders. We can't properly educate our children. We can't figure out a cohesive strategy for dealing with, a global pandemic that we have taken responsibility for globally as well as nationally. What is it that we think we're doing? It's like we constantly are talking about how much we hate ourselves and how we are the worst oppressors and we're, this privileged, horrible, bratty country. But we also take on everybody else's problems. And as much as the left will talk about American exceptionalism being a problem, they're the most American exceptionalist of all. They think that we can go out there, smack ourselves in the face, wear hair shirts, and still save the world. And that's what they expect. It's very weird to watch.
Yeah.
I feel like this war thing in Afghanistan, which is never actually, it's not a real war. It was never declared by Congress. It was just a military action. And it was only to get bin Laden. There was no Taliban involved in any of this in the beginning.
Right.
Taliban formed around it. And then it was ISIS. Then it was Al-Qaeda. Or it was Al-Qaeda in the beginning.
Well, let's slow down. Taliban was 1994.
Okay, Taliban's been around forever.
So I guess
different people, different names, different places.
No, the Taliban formed out of the Mujahideen, and there was an Afghan civil war.
But it was they
started expanding, gaining more power, and then the U.S. is like, we're going to go in and get them.
Well, we went in to get Al-Qaeda, to get Osama bin Laden, and then that happened. After a couple of years, and then they stayed.
Couple years?
Yeah.
After a decade, bro.
And then the real reason
Pakistan.
we went in came out was to build that country in the eyes of America and get its resources. Well, that faltered. We had no justification to fight. I mean, it's not to fight the Taliban. We were never there to fight the Taliban.
Right.
So that is not something we will ever do.
It was colonization. They call it nation building. I'm like, yeah, it's colonizing.
Yeah, it was colonizing.
I'm not saying that from some leftist college blue-haired perspective of they're colonizers. No, it's like literally
it's actually what it is.
Yeah.
The only problem with colonization is when it fails.
And it can fail
I guess
bad.
And it can fail really badly.
Like
I don't know. There's
Yeah.
problems with colonization. How would you feel if China colonized New York City?
I think it'd be worse if they did a bad job of it, frankly.
I think it'd be bad no matter what.
Yeah, it'd be terrible no matter what.
Sure, I guess if China came in and all of a sudden restored everyone's civil rights.
I would say Western colonization is specifically bad when it fails. But I don't think, I think there's an argument to be made that Western colonization has actually been globally good in a lot of ways.
You know, I'm of the opinion that we should, at this point, I mean, to a certain extent, I would agree, obviously. But I'm also of the opinion of, like, maybe we should mind our own business, especially at this point.
I feel that way as well. And I also feel that way in terms of nations that clearly don't have any interest in what we have to offer.
Well, there was a poll I saw of a bunch of different countries pertaining to Islam. And when it came to Afghanistan, these people did not share our values in any way. Yeah, there were people who were, like, I'll put it bluntly, we can sit here and say, hey, look, it was better with Americans there because of freedoms and economics, but these people genuinely hate, you know, our way of living. They're very, very faith-based. They're very, very tribal, like literal tribes.
Right, actual ones.
And there was a poll where I think, like, a very large percentage thought the death for, the punishment for apostasy is death. Like, we don't have those things. And so we enter this country, very different way of living, very different clothes, much more advanced weapons. And we tell them from now on, you live the way we tell you. Naturally, they're not happy with that. They're still not happy with that.
Well, and they shouldn't be. You know, there's also this issue of how can you can't bring democracy and this kind of liberty to a populace that doesn't want it themselves. You know, you can't just force that on people because that's like the thing you're saying you're not going to do. And then you're doing it in order to get them to live your way. That's not effective.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.